Hello everyone, my name is KRTZDC, but you can call me Zane, and today I'm playing Magic Arena for a little bit of a historic Brawl deck. This deck features Zabaz, the Glimmerwasp from Modern Horizons 2. If you haven't seen this card before, it's a 1 mana 0/0 legendary artifact creature insect with modular 1. Modular being it enters the battlefield with X counters, and then when it dies, you may move those +1/+1 counters onto a target artifact creature you control. He has a passive ability of if a modular triggered ability would put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on it instead. You can pay 1 red to destroy a target artifact you control, and then you can pay 1 white to give him flying until end of turn. So together this makes a somewhat of a artifact creature slash +1/+1 counter modular aggro deck here. Some of the key cards that are in this deck are All That Glitters along with Nettlecyst here to give you +1/+1 for each artifact you control, and there are a couple enchantments in here, but not a lot. And then Shambling Suit fills a similar role here. You really want to give this creature trample or some evasiveness here to really get through, but it does the job in a very similar way. On top of that, there are other modular creatures here to fit in with the actual modular ability of Zabaz. Arcbound Shikari is one that buffs all of your other modular creatures and artifact creatures, along with having modular itself. Arcbound Tracker has been impressive to me. Just being a 2/2 menace creature that can grow in size has been very useful at times, along with Arcbound Slasher just being a kind of a hasty threat towards the end of the game, and Arcbound Whelp being a mana sink fire-breathing dragon you can use. Along with that, some of our other big win cons are Traxos, Scourge of Krug, a giant 7/7/4/4. I'm sorry, a 4 mana 7/7 with trample that doesn't untap, but his ability of being able to untap when you cast a historic spell is quite easy to achieve with this deck, since the large majority of our cards are artifacts. We do have some legendary creatures, but mainly just artifacts here. Along with Traxos, the Ozolith is one of the best cards. Not necessarily a win con, but this card is one of the best cards in just helping this deck operate and run smoothly. Being able to recycle your counters throughout the game is just such a ease of living that is hard to get used or hard to not get used to. Just being able to move them from creature to creature without having to worry about, stacking all of your creatures on one or all your counters on one creature is just a great relief. It can definitely win you games, but not by itself. It's just something that accumulates value over time, and for only 1 mana is completely worth it, along with the other artifact synergies it gives in this deck. Some of the other cards, like Karn, Scion of Urza, and Ugin the Ineffable, are both planeswalkers that give us some artifact synergies. Mainly, Ugin gives us colorless spell synergy, which is the most of our artifacts here. But both of them help us give card advantage along with adding creatures to the board. Karn adding the +1/+1 for each artifact you control token constructs. Those are very useful as well in this deck, along with Mystic Forge, absolute beast of a card. Any format that has a presence of artifact decks has Mystic Forge. This card is no joke. It allows you to look at the top card of your library anytime, and you can cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. You can also tap it and pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library. So this allows us to essentially play the large majority of our deck, if not all of our deck. The only thing that we can't really hit with it is lands. This deck is quite good as an aggro deck, actually. It is a little underwhelming at first, but once you look at some of the key pieces here, it really kind of comes together, and getting your opponent down to 0 from 25 is not a big ask for this deck. I've had a lot of success with it in the queue, and it does really well against some of the more value-y, color-heavy decks that need more time to fix or set up. So it is definitely good at getting in to your opponent, and we do have some extra few cards here that are just generically good to kind of help round us out. Stonecoil Serpent being one of those cards. Just being a efficient creature that we can sink our mana into late game and make a decent sized body early to mid game, along with especially the protection from multicolored, is a huge bonus to this deck. Reach and Trample are also great. The Reach makes it very great on defense. We do have some flying creatures here, but a lot of those are vehicles which aren't as good on defense. And then having the trample is great as a way to just push through for more damage. And the +1/+1 counters is just the extra butter on top that allows us to add to our, the Ozolith count and grow our other creatures too. This deck, though, one of its main problems is the lack of card advantage. So this deck takes pretty much every chance it can to squeeze out every single bit of advantage or card advantage from its cards by having lands give you extra effects or things like a Abira Takedown, which are essentially a land and a spell. Just you'll see this kind of as a common theme of this deck. Ingenious Smith is another one that finds its more card advantage and grows just by itself. So a lot of this is taking advantage of the fact that there's not a lot of good card draw here. Tome of Legends being really one of the only viable ones here. But we also are able to play Esper Sentinel, which is one of the best cards in the format for sure. Um, Being an artifact creature, it also benefits a lot from this deck. It makes it super easy to grow in size, along with the other boosts we have to our artifact creatures. So getting this Esper Sentinel up to 2, 3, 4, even 5 power is very doable. We truly get to make the most of Esper Sentinel in this deck, which is something I'm very happy about. It's a great card for sure. Also, being in red and white, we are able to play Swords to Plowshares and Lightning Bolt, two of the best removal cards in this format, excluding non-black cards, if not the two best. Very easy for dealing with large creatures, to mana dorks, commanders. You get the gist. And the mana base here is a little weird, as you might imagine for a monocolored, a pseudo dual-colored deck. Um, Mono gray, excuse me, not mono-colored. We have a few utility lands here, like Zulfir and Void, Treasure Vault. Um, if this card would work, actually. Treasure Vault, really good for making more artifacts that, are buffed by artifacts, like, our Karn. Spire of Industry is just mana fixing for us that we can almost completely, without a doubt, have access to. A few others, like Inventor's Fair is really good, using that to find maybe our best card, whatever it may be in the situation, either a Traxos, or an Ozolith, or a Esper Sentinel, or an Immortal Sun. Probably usually just the Ozolith, but it might be something like the Immortal Sun. Good card. Crawling Barrens is another great card that sees a lot of play in mono and dual colored decks as well. This card is just great for finishing and getting through with that little bit of extra damage. Also is a great mana sink if we don't have a lot to do, which can be really good for this deck because this deck doesn't have a whole lot of sources of card advantage. And then Blinkmouth Nexus as well as a decent card that we can use to kind of push through and get a few more hits of damage. And this works really well with the rest of the artifact synergies in the deck, since it does become an artifact creature on top of just being a land. Buried Ruin is nice too, just giving us a little bit more card advantage by returning stuff from our graveyard. That's really how this deck has to kind of operate. It has to pretty much squeeze like every bit of card advantage it can get through any means possible. White and red definitely, at least on Arena now at the moment, probably the two worst colors in terms of card draw, especially in a deck like this. There's just not a lot of room for it, but stuff like that can help out a lot. Animal Sanctuary is kind of not a big card in this deck, but it does come in handy a little bit with like Stonecoil Serpent and Arcbound Tracker. And then for the most part, we just kind of have mana fixing lands here. Can't forget one of the best lands ever, Ramanamp Ruins. Just being able to shock out of a land is pretty good. And like once again, reiterating back to that point of squeezing out every bit of advantage we can get with our cards. Just a shock can finish the game sometimes with a card like this. And I think that's about it for the deck. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to give a like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Okay, here we are with our first opponent here, playing an Exodus Auric Overlord deck. I feel like most of the time when I see this deck, they're really more focused on casting the Awaken the Blood Avatar side, but this could be a non-legendary reanimator deck, I suppose, but really it's about making a bunch of small creatures to sacrifice to get this, big powerful trigger, which they can do pretty early in Historic Brawl, so that might be something we have to look out for. This is a decent hand. Having Stone Coil could be nice. Let me see if this is red or black. So yeah, it is red and black, so that can be a great answer to Exodus. Beaumont Courier is nice for late game card advantage, but Yeah, I'll just keep this hand and we'll see where it goes from here. So, I'll probably just start off. It doesn't really matter, but I'll start off with Inventor's Fair. And then just get in for a little bit of chip damage with Bowmog Courier here. And then just pass the turn. The server might be a little bit bugged down today. The new Alchemy Historic, or excuse me, the Alchemy, whatever the new Alchemy set that came out today was, the Commander Legend Baldur's Gate deck set, excuse me, came out today, so the client might be a little bit slow, and I think I'm gonna use some of the early game here just to kind of get a Bowmog Courier and play Tome of Legends. This is another card I didn't mention that can be a good source of card advantage for us, you know, being in a pseudo mono gray, but not a bad card at all. It's easy to play in a lot of other decks too. Let's see, they have a Sunset Revelry. That's a decent card for them. I could play Speedway Fanatic, but I don't have any vehicles, and I'll probably just hold off, and I'll play a Zabaz, get a counter up on Tome of Legends, and then I'll pass the turn, and at the end of the turn I'll more than likely just draw a card with Tome of Legends. But that card is already getting really cheap for them now. Yep, 4 mana I believe, so, and they're going to have access to 4 almost assuredly. Oh, and I forgot to draw a card there. My mistake. I believe I'll just go ahead and draw a card here. Another land. Our opponent has a lot to say, I guess. And I will just crash in with Zabaz, but I'll give him flying. Just to get another counter on our Team of Legends there. So I'm not entirely sure we'll see the Avatar come out now, but I think there's a pretty good chance. All they need is 1 land and sacrifice the 2 tokens, so more than likely we'll see it this turn, but if they're stuck on lands, which it looks like they are, that's a good sign for us. And I would love to play Stonecoil Serpent, but I really want to be able to get him to 6 mana. Well, that hurts a little bit, but that's not too bad. That's one of the advantages of having a 1 mana commander there. Get to replay him on turn 3. And they still don't have a land. That's pretty crazy here. I really would have thought they'd mulligan to a hand with at least 3 lands. But, I guess that wasn't the case for them, and it's punishing them quite a bit here. Especially after that meat hook. I'm not quite sure why they chose to do the meat hook when they were only 1 mana away. But we'll take it. We'll take everything we can get. And then I think I'll just use this opportunity to play Forsaken Monument, kind of build up my board, and I can do huge Stonecoil next turn, so... And we'll just pass the turn. So, I can't imagine... Yeah, okay, well, a win's a win, but we were in a pretty good position there, having the Forsaken Monument resolve, along with some card advantage in Tome of Legends, and having a huge Stonecoil Serpent next turn, along with a decent Arcbound Slasher that would have grown pretty quickly. But, that's game 1. Okay, and here we are with our second opponent of the day, playing a Professor Onyx deck. That's pretty interesting. I'm not sure I've seen many of those before. This is a decent hand, but besides Zabaz, we don't have many early plays, and this curve isn't too great. I really am not sure if I should keep this. The mana's alright, but this also is a deck that probably runs a lot of removal here, as I would imagine. They're going first too. I'll take 1 free mulligan. Okay, this is a much better hand, more of like what I was talking about here. All the Glitters is one of the best cards. Genius Smith is a great card too. I'll keep this. I'm more than likely playing Shadow Skulls and land. Oh, wow, that's an amazing draw there, too. But, I might not. Might save it for later. I'll go ahead and just play the Ozolith on turn 1. I really want to make sure I get all the value I can out of it with the Zabaz and the counters, so that'll just go there for now. A Mind Stone, okay. That's also a pretty good draw. Maybe not in this matchup, but still a good draw, nevertheless. And then I think I'll just get an Ingenious Smith going. Get some good card advantage and find a decent artifact, hopefully. That would have been nice, that Ugin. But Sky Step is nice, gives me something to do with my Zabaz, but the Arcbound Tracker is pretty good in terms of growing, so I'll just take the tracker. And then this will also trigger Ingenious Smith next turn. Are they just going to remove my creature? I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like if Mono Black's good at anything, it's creature removal, so I don't know what else he'd put in a Magecraft Mono Black deck. Sorin! Okay. I didn't see that one coming, but I suppose if you're running one Planeswalker, why not run them all? And they're going for the plus. Just a land. Okay.
Dire times call for dire
Interesting
tactics.
play. And I will... Let's see. If I play an artifact, it'll get 2, and then it'll get +2/+2. So I can't take out the sword in this turn unless I'm doing the math incorrectly. I'll just go ahead and play an Arcbound Tracker. That way I can also get a counter built up on Arcbound Tracker next turn by playing 2 spells. But I will just go ahead and go face. The Arcbound Tracker with Menace can really help get rid of the Sorin here, so I'm not too worried about him yet. But that is ultimate. That ultimate is something I definitely have to look out for. I can't just let him go out of hand. But I really want to be able to get as much damage as I can with this deck. I can't imagine this game will last too long if I do not deal as much damage as I can in the moment. Notably, they aren't running snow-covered swamps, so I'm just going to assume they aren't playing Blood in the Snow, a card I think that would be very good in this deck. But maybe they have some reason for it. I could play a Foundry Inspector and get a free Zabaz. Or I could just get Karn going. I would really like to get 2 counters on Arcbound Tracker though, so I will just play a Foundry Inspector and then go for Zabaz for free afterwards. It doesn't give me much to do with my mana afterwards, but it's still probably the most efficient use of my mana here. So that gets a counter on both the Tracker and Ingenious Smith, which is good. And then I'll probably just use this opportunity here to take out the Sorin on the board. While I still can. Although swinging for 6 would be a lot of damage. Okay. I honestly think I'll just give up the Foundry Inspector here. It's not doing too much in the grand scheme of things right now. I guess that would have been a reason why they could have played that, or should have played that card earlier, but... They've already drawn 2 cards off of it, so I kind of want to stop them from drawing any more. They still haven't shown much of their deck yet, mainly just mana rocks. Well, that's that's bad. But I can respond pretty well next turn by playing a Karn and making a giant construct immediately, so that's not too bad. Not as bad as it seems. 6 counters on a a large construct is pretty good, so I will go ahead and just do that.
I have faced worse than the likes.
Right now it's just a 2/2, but it'll soon be an 8/8. And I will accept this trigger here. 1 top, not good for me. And then I will just play out the Shadow Skull Smashing. wonder what my opponent saw on the top of their deck there. Not surprised by that. But we still have an 8-8 on the board, unless they have another answer, which would be pretty crushing. Okay, well. In that case, I will just play out a single Ginger Brute and see where we go from here. Heart of Kiran is a nice backup that misses a lot of sorcery speed removal in mono black. And they are playing some, at least. So, that'll be nice as a kind of way to just, you know, edge out to the end. They're thinking a lot about this Ginger Brute here. I would imagine, yeah, it's probably just holding up the activation from Maze Mind, but they might have something. And I will just attack in here for 10. Keep in mind these counters will continue to stay on the battlefield as long as I have the Ozolith, so if this does die, I can at the very least move them over to Ginger Brute or Heart of Kiran later. They are just drawing a card, okay. They might get a 2-mana instant speed removal though. Doesn't look like it. And they'll take 10. In that case, I don't really want to play Heart of Kiran because it's just so hard to crew. It's pretty awkward right now. I don't have a Planeswalker. I lost my Karn, so I will, in this case, just play Zabaz the Glimmerwasp. And this is tough. I think it's either a make or break turn. This one is here for our opponent and me. Okay, that's not too bad. I can, at the very least, I guess, destroy it myself. Who do they destroy here? Ginger Brute? Yeah, I will just... there's no reason to, I suppose. I'll just let it go. In the off chance they have some strange card that cares about creatures dying or another effect, I will just hold the destroy target artifact of control to fizzle out a trigger. Interesting draw here. I will just go ahead and try and go for the win here with all the glitters on, I mean, I suppose Zabaz. That way I'm not stacking this on both of the, or on one creature. That way I can kind of choose what they want to take out. And I'll be swinging for lethal here if they don't have an answer. Looks like they're drawing a card to maybe find an answer. They are, so they need a 3 mana or less instant speed removal here. Oh, they do gain 4 life. I do forget about that trigger. My apologies. But they're still taking 14. It's quite a bit here. Okay. In that case, I will just sacrifice. Well, I guess I can't. Yeah, I will sacrifice Zabaz. He has modular, so that'll still go in my creature. Oh, not okay. Oh well. And then I will just play out Heart of Kiran just to efficiently use my mana here. Give me something to do at the very least. So I do lose the Immortal Sun. Not much I can really do about that. I could have held Heart of Kiran, but at that point then they still would have just discarded the Immortal Sun and just known I had a Kiran. So they still need another answer though to answer this construct. And that Liliana will do it.
Witherbloom is just as dark as... Sorry, you don't make the grade.
But I can just crew the Loxodon. And have lethal here. So I will go ahead and try and do this. And then I will crew it. And then on combat here, I'll just put all the counters on Kiran. And then I don't think they have any responses. And I will swing in for lethal. Alright, that's game 2. Another win for the Zabaz deck. Kind of showing this deck can do something indeed, and is not a joke deck. That's for certain here. Alright, here we have our third opponent playing a Sultai Blink deck. Really just more of an ETB, the Yurok the Desecrated. This is a decent hand, but it doesn't have any colored mana, which I'm afraid could hurt a lot with this hand that I have. So I'm going to take a free mulligan. This is much more what I was thinking of. Death Touch, lifelink 3/5, and then he basically just doubles the ETB triggers. So, but this is much more of the hand I was thinking of. I like the idea of being able to attach Nettlecyst to Aether Sphere, but also on Gingerbeat's really good, just giving it unblockable. Braid's Apprentice is a nice card as well, so I will take this hand. I will just go ahead and play Gingerbrute on turn 1 to get a chip damage in. Every point matters. Okay, tapped land. I'll take it. Gives me another turn to kind of... Ooh, that's kind of a decent draw here. I just don't know what I name it on. Do I just choose... I could choose Insect. Yeah, I suppose I'll just name Insect here in a second, but no need to do that. Well, kind of messes with the rest of my curve. Actually, yeah, I will play this now, and then next turn I'll likely just play. Did I miss it? Next turn I will just play Aether Sphere Harvester, and more than likely I'll just use that on my 4th turn to crew and attack with Zabaz, but let's see what they have here. So they have all their colors of mana. Okay, just gonna pass priority. Looks like they're thinking about removing the Mimic. Okay, that's fine. We have way worse targets for us, or way worse targets they could have hit, so I'll take it. And I'll go ahead and attack with Gingerbrute. Swing in. The Radiant Fountain. And Nettlecyst isn't quite big enough yet, but I will go ahead and play it out just to get it going. We're currently at 2-2. Not quite what I want it to be yet, but it'll get there. Yikes, that is a horrible draw for us. Well, I suppose then I will simply just play Court Homunculus and attach with Nettlecyst and then swing in for an unblockable 3/3. Or 4/4, I'm sorry. Down to 18, not bad. And I do have a Braid's Apprentice or a Aether Sphere Harvester I can play next turn along with my Zabaz. I think I'll just use the Harvester. Having another good evasive target for the Nettlecyst is good. That is a trade I probably would have taken just to stop any blink shenanigans if they did decide to attack. But, didn't draw land. I guess I can only really play one here. I will play a Braid's Apprentice though. Good card advantage, and I get 2 artifacts for the price of 1. Hopefully they don't have an instant to remove the spell. And then I will go ahead and preemptively enable its ability to be unblockable. And I'm willing to trade this here if they wish, so I'll go ahead and attack with the Homunculus as well. Or take out an Innkeeper. They will take that trade. Okay. Makes it a 5/5 now, but still a 2-turn clock. Alright, and I imagine this is just a Yurok turn, but they might have something else. Or Yurok. Fairy Bundle's interesting. I'm not quite sure why this card is in the deck. It doesn't entirely fit with the rest of the theme here, but I suppose there is a reason. And that is a Yurok. Okay. I don't mind seeing that at all. They will, unsurprisingly, well, okay. So I will use this opportunity to, a little bit of a tough decision here. I think the best play is to truly just keep pounding in with Ginger Brute, build up my board. So I will go ahead and do that. And then this still represents a 2-turn clock here, unless they can gain much more health, which they do have Yarok, but if they do decide to swing, I can swing in back for much more. Arguably, I should have held up the 1 mana to attack with Zabaz, or use Zabaz's ability, and should have just played Sky Skiff there. But I think that was the correct play. I'm not entirely sure I'll need that ability. But this should be a big turn for them. They have 7 mana. This could be the end of the game, in theory, but it doesn't look like it now. Nothing pre-combat. I will just take the 3. Actually, I will use this opportunity to block with Zabaz, and before damage, I will activate Breya's Apprentice. And then I will sacrifice Zabaz, putting a counter on... I guess I don't... Okay, yes, that's... I didn't trigger last game because of the Ozolith, but I thought that's how modular worked. And then a Shambling Suit. That's not bad at all here. What do they have for 7 mana, though? Nothing. I hardly believe that. I will just attack with Ginger Brute right now as an unblockable creature. This represents lethal on its own, so I see no reason to hurry. Well, alright then. Do I want to sacrifice it is the real question. I don't think I do. I don't think it's right in the situation. I'll just allow it to go back to my hand. But I will... I want to play Shambling Suit, but equipping Nettlecyst is good too. Yeah, I will just play Shambling Suit. And then I will replay my Ginger Brute as well. And I still have a Thopter I can use to block and sack for more card advantage and to prevent the lifelink too. And then I'll pass the turn. In theory, they have to have another card similar to this to stop me from winning. That or just plain removal for the Ginger Brute. Yikes, that is a horrible card for me. I'll go ahead and sacrifice some artifacts then. And I will sacrifice the... I mean, it doesn't matter, but Ginger Brute. Well, not what I wanted. So they're only attacking with a 1/3 here, which I think is brave, because this is only a crew 1. I'll play that, and then... Do I have lethal here? I don't think I do, no. But this is getting pretty close. That was somewhat of a risky play for them. Yeah, 1 off. Very close, though. And they still don't have much of a board. They do have lifelink here, which is big for them. But besides that, there is not much they really have. They're just going to attack for their damage. Okay. They're not going to attack. Okay. Interesting. That's just target creature or player, because it represents face damage. But I will play this out, and then attach with Nettlecyst, and then I'll use that to actually accrue the Harvester this turn. So, I'll put the Nettlecyst on Zabaz here. And then I will also crew this here using the Thopter token. Unless they have two answers here. This is lethal in the air. Just make sure I don't forget to do that. That would be a little bad here. Might be a bit of a throw. And then I will attack for 9 in the air. Oh, a little bit of lag here. And do they have an answer? That's the question here. I guess... Well, I guess in theory there I should have sacrificed it, but, in response... Yeah, that was a mistake by me. That was a punt. Bad play. Yep, I should have sacrificed it. That was a play I missed right there. Yeah, that was a bad misplay by me. In that case, I will just equip Metal Fist then to the Thopter. Just use the most of my mana. And pass the turn once again. Night Pack Ambusher. Not great for me. Alright, well they're getting a little bit of a board here. Okay, and I guess they see that they had no outs there. And that's game. Game 3 in the books. Another win for the Zabaz deck. Pretty proud of how it's been playing so far. It's been pretty good to see these aggressive wins against some of these greedier decks here. More of the value-y mid-rangey decks are just can't hold on enough against the Zabaz deck. So, have any of y'all been playing the new Commander Legends Alchemy set? I've heard it's a great limited format, but I haven't quite tried it yet, and I might make a video on a blind draft, since I've seen a little bit of the what is the new mechanic that essentially gives you 5 face cards, but besides that I don't know much, so I might have to give that a try and see how that goes. I'm a big fan of limited as well. We're playing an Adeliz the Cinderwind deck. I'm not too familiar with this one. Okay, so this is the Is It Wizard Tribal, along with Prowess. So 3 mana, 2/2 flying haste, and gives all your other wizards prowess, essentially, except it only applies for instants and sorceries. So, also an aggro deck. I will probably just keep this hand. It's a bit safe. I could use my free mulligan.
Mic off. Mic on.
But I think I'm draw dependent here. I have both my colors of mana, but I'll take this. This is an uneasy keep, but I will keep this. Okay, a slow start is good for us. I will play a Court Homunculus here, and then I'll probably just play a Construct next turn, but I might play Zabaz. Getting in for 4 damage would be nice on turn 3. A bolt. I'll take a bolt. Siren Stormtamer. Okay. Well, in that case, I will just play my Needle Verge, and then use my Mind Stone for a mana. And then I'll use that mana to play my Bonded Construct. And now I'll just attack in for 2. And I imagine next turn the Adeliz will come in. And from there, we'll have to see what kind of instance and sorcery shenanigans they got going on. That Stormtamer might become a bit of an issue, but I don't have a lot of cards that target my opponent. Okay, that's kind of brave. This is a nice little bonus here. Just 1 extra damage. That's what I'm saying about the value this deck has to grind out. I'll attack him for 4. And then I'll probably just play Stone Coil on 2 or 3. I'll just do 3 this turn, since I can also play Zabaz. But this gives me a nice... This is what I'm talking about with the mono, or the multicolored commanders here. Stone Coil being a great counter in this situation, as a reaching colored protection blocker. So very thankful to have Stone Coil in this matchup. Good draw. Or if did I have it in my opening hand? I can't remember. Oh well. But either way, great card in this matchup here. And I kind of wonder what they have going on now. They have removal? Okay, well that's a good card for them, that's for sure. Can't do much about that. That's a horrible draw. Okay. Yeah, we might just be out of it after that one. That was 2 incredible draws they had right there. fiery cannonade destroys this deck for sure. But they're also beginning to run out of gas a bit, so... Yikes. Where do I go from here? I could play out the Antithetic Express. And I can crit with Zabaz next turn. That's probably the play I go for, I guess. That's my plan. I can't believe they had some artifact removal and tiny creature removal there. That's pretty crazy. Expressive iteration, alright. They're coming in for 5 now. That's not good at all. Really got to pick up the pace here, find some serious gas to catch back up in this. Because they are doing damage very quickly as well. Yikes. Viashino Pyromancer is also a horrible card for us. Okay, well. I think more than likely we are dead next turn, but I don't have much choice in the matter. I will just play Zabaz, and then I believe I'll just attack with the Untethered Express, but I think I'm dead here. I mean, they currently have 5 on the board. All they need is 1 prowess trigger. And that's game, so... But I can't imagine. I don't have any way of blocking these two now after losing my best artifact creature. I don't think stopping Viashino for a turn saves me either, so... I'm just going to pray and hope they have no instants or sorceries, but I think the chances of that are very unlikely. That almost does it. All they need is 1 more card. There we go. That's game. Alright, well, that was a quick one there. We were kind of close. Like I said, they had 2 great cards in this matchup here. So, something that just happens every now and then, but that was a good example of when the Stonecoil was an amazing card. It's just sad that we didn't get to keep it for very long. Okay, our 5th and probably final game of the day here, playing against Ape, the Tulane deck. This is a pretty good hand, despite not having a whole lot of creatures, or artifact creatures, or even really artifacts, but this is a decent hand. I like having the swords just to answer Tulane instantly, nearly. The Immortal Sun will clog up our hand, and doesn't necessarily do anything special against Tulane, but Pia Nalar and all that glitters are both great cards, so I will just keep this hand. It is arguable that I should have used my free mulligan, but I don't know. So I imagine some kind of blink strategy here. That's typically what these decks try to do. A lot of times they're also just banned good stuff. Tulane is just a very good card in general. Good use, okay. Not too worried about that. But the real question is, what do I go for here? I think every time here I'm playing Forgotten Caves tapped. And then I suppose I will just attack with Ginger Brute to make sure I get my 1 damage in. And then they will block 1, unless they're very cautious, but they aren't, so... Getting our 1 point of damage in here. Hopefully we can kind of pile this on more. Ginger Brute's a great draw with all the glitters, just making it very unblockable, and Bant could typically have some trouble dealing with the creatures like this. Okay, that's not bad. I'll take Mana Dorks for as long as I can get them, as long as I have my unblockable Ginger Brute here. But definitely heating up a bit, that's for sure. Ooh, I could take the turn to play Arcane Signet here, but I think I'll just do that next turn and just try and pump up my Ginger Brute as quick as I can here. Make him unblockable. And I will activate this. Getting for 4 now, so we're getting there. We're packing it on. But I believe they could play Tulane in this turn? They have mana. They have 3, 4. Yep. Okay. So if they have any land here, they can play Tulane. Okay, but they choose not to. I suppose they have something else to play. Just passing priority. Okay. Well, I will go ahead and just play Arcane Signet. Next turn, if we draw a land, we can play the Immortal Sun, which could be a decent card advantage and artifact boost, along with just cheapening our spells. but I will just make Gingerbrute unblockable once again. And try and get in for as much damage as I can. I'm afraid they have something like an Into the Royal, though. But let's see what happens. Losing all the glitters would be very bad for us here. Alright, we're getting for 5. Hopefully we can keep this going for a bit. If they play Tulane here, I will almost assuredly answer him with Swords of Plowshares. Just setting them back that much is great for us. Okay. The whole 2-4 there is great for swords as well. Okay, yeah, I will just go ahead and swords this now. That way they can't put a counter on it and gain some extra life, I suppose. Let's resolve this. I could give Gingerbrute an extra +1/+0 with Pia. I have the mana, I suppose, next turn, but at that point I might as well just play... Well, I still have to make it unblockable. Yeah, I will make this unblockable and then likely just play Stonecoil as a 4/4. So I think that's what I'll do here. And then I will attack with the Zabaz here, just to force them to do something with their mirror, or I can sacrifice it to add a counter to Gingerbrute. Let's see how they respond. How about all the Tamios here? Old versus new. Phyrexian versus non-Phyrexian. They take it all. Okay, interesting. No response. It seems like they have something here. I guess they're just holding it priority for the Scrappling. Audio cut out there. And then I could play Pia, but I like the idea of just playing Stonecoil as a big trampler. It gives me another artifact, so does Stonecoil. Yeah, I'll just play Stonecoil this turn. And I will use all 4 of my mana. Alright. It's a pretty good position to be in right now, especially since they don't have Tulane. They can replay him here, but we are setting them back a whole lot in terms of tempo. But let's see what they got. I mean, I guess they can tap Leafkin for 2, but they have to tap him for that since they don't have the mana. And they are out of mana now, unless they have a land to play. No, they're Stonecoil. They're just playing it for the trigger. Alright, I respect it. Treat our Stonecoils better than that. We have the superior Stonecoil here. How dare they? Doing it for the Biomancer, I guess. I'm 1 mana short of being able to win with Nettlecyst off the top, but still in a very good position here, indeed. There's not a lot they can do right now, and at the very most they could trade all of their... Well, they could trade Tulane and the rest of their creatures. Well, they can block with all their creatures and trade Tulane for my Stonecoils, but even then that's not great. Don't have a vehicle to crew with Speedway Fanatic. I don't have enough mana to make Gingerbrute unblockable and give Pia, but I will go ahead and play Pia. And then continue to make Gingerbrute unblockable. And I will attack in with a Stonecoil Serpent just to force them to sacrifice some creatures for blocking. And I can also just make Zabaz a flyer, so I will do both of those things. We'll see where it goes from here. Don't think they have. I don't believe I have Lethal here, but I'm going to attack as if I do. Make them do the math. Math is for blockers, they say. And that's it. That's the win. So, Zabaz ended up going 4 out of 5 here in the Historic Brawl queue, playing against some pretty good decks here. Definitely proud of how this deck is played, and I think it is a good example of how commanders can seem very underwhelming, but do not let that fool you. But yeah, once again, very happy to see how this turned out. Love playing the Zabaz deck. Such an interesting and goofy card that only could come from a Modern Horizon set. But once again, if you enjoyed watching the video, please subscribe and give you a like. And stay tuned for more content if you enjoy this.